Welcome back to the campus of Drury University here at the O'Reilly Family Event Center. We are swinging back over to the boys, and this one is the 8A Gold Ball Championship game between the number 1 seeded MHEA Eagles out of Memphis and the Houston Raiders out of Houston, Texas. My name is Paul Gilmore, and I have the pleasure of being joined on the broadcast by Thomas and Jesse Sanders as we bring you this boys 8A Gold Ball, MHEA in their customary white uniforms with the blue number and trim. Meanwhile, Houston Raiders in their blue with the white number and trim.
Paul, we had a chance to watch this MHEA team play quite a bit last year, but big guy, it's number 14, Robert Dawkins, was out last year with a shoulder injury, if I'm correct.
That is correct. He had a collarbone injury that happened right before Nationals, so he was unable to play. But then you think about that, they're the three-time repeating champions, and they add a player of his caliber. And speaking of caliber, Caleb Thomas, we saw him do that in the national championship game quite a few times, and he starts MHEA off with another one.
Yeah, didn't think twice on that. This is my second time watching him play, so I'm kind of curious. I saw him play last year in Undisputed National Championship. I want to say he buried 6 or 7 threes. So it's my maybe so, and it just second time getting to watch him play. So I'm excited for this matchup, seeing this Memphis team play. It's going to be excited for a great game here today.
Yeah, he had a game last year in that Undisputed that would be probably at the top of a portfolio of any kind of game, as he lit it up in their 3rd straight championship. Meanwhile, John Hervey, he hits a bucket going the other way.
So it looks like Houston Raiders starting in a 2-3 zone. I'm looking at Memphis move the ball to the high post.
And even though Spangenberg was not able to connect, that's a good look, and you can't imagine if they keep knocking those down that Raiders will stay in that defense much longer.
Now 2-3 is going to be tough against a team that can shoot the ball. Particularly, it looks like Memphis have seen this enough times. They got 33 in the high post, and it looks like he's kicking that thing out quick.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas, 33, the older brother of Caleb, and both those brothers just such an integral part of what MHEA is looking to do. And that's stolen away by Andrew Thomas, but Carter Nettlingham is going to stop and pop a three-pointer. No good.
If you're the Raiders, you got to control that ball. You give this Memphis team an inch, they're going to take it. So you got to be careful. That careless pass cannot have that.
And that was Cole Baker, who pulled down the rebound. He's one of the big men for Houston Raiders. He's matched up currently against Dawkins.
Paul, I was talking right before the game with some of the guys from Aggie Land. They played this Houston Raiders team twice this season. I was asking them, hey, obviously Memphis is the team to beat, right? So can they hang with them? And it was interesting to get their opinion. Say, man, this Raiders team can really shoot it. They've got a couple guards with quick triggers. He's like, they're hitting. They've got good size inside. They think matches up. But his opinion was they'll rise and fall with the 3.
And Caleb Thomas loves this court. That's his 2nd three-pointer, and he's got all 6 Eagles points.
Look, Houston Raiders, they're gonna have to consider coming out of this 2-3 zone. I just don't see if he's gonna shoot the ball like this, they can't stay back in that. I recognize they're smaller, so they're probably concerned about rebounding.
That time Baker connects on the 3.
Cole Baker. He learned that at the Rock basketball camp, Paul.
We don't mind a shameless plug.
I see you. Hey, that's how we teach guys to do things, okay? Step back from 25 and drill it, bottom. So
good ball movement from the Eagles. No good on that 3-point attempt, but Andrew Thomas gets the offensive rebound, but not before John Hervey gets his hands in for the steal. John Hervey, no good. Quickly coming back the other way. Eagles like to run. Caleb Thomas up and in.
Tough move. Good Euro in transition.
Hervey, step back. Good. He had a bunch of shots like that last night as the Raiders had the much harder road to get here. They had to win a play-in game and their Sweet 16 game last night. Meanwhile, MHEA, oh my goodness. Ooh, if that had gone in. MHEA, the #1 overall seed, they won their pool, so they had an extra game that they were off yesterday.
So, Paul, from a load management standpoint, this is
Nice shot from Jacob May.
Is this 5th game for the Raiders?
This is the 5th game for the Raiders.
5th game, okay.
And with that, they only have an 8-man roster, it looks like, so they're probably feeling this game right now.
Yeah, Raiders were a brand new program last year. They came to nationals at the varsity boys level, and they only had 6 players. So they're certainly used to playing a little bit undermanned, and that's Dawkins on the offensive rebound. He's fouled. He'll go to the line shooting 2.
I was watching Dawkins in warm-up, man. He's gonna give the fans a treat in the dunk contest here later this week.
So for Caleb Thomas, it's interesting. So he's opened up 2 early, and the drive there on the teardrop was contested. Difficult to drive on a 2-3 zone down the middle of the paint. There's just pretty much you're never going to have an open lane in that position. So it's something that's just situational, understanding like, hey, this team's in a zone and understanding where the weak spots are. So early on, Memphis has done a really, really nice job of hitting that high post and then spacing out from there. But top line drives are difficult against the zone anytime it's a 2-3 of any kind of capacity.
Substitution for the Raiders as checking in is Leon Brooks.
Looks like Memphis has gone to a diamond press. Oftentimes this press is just used to speed up tempo, but yeah, they get a turnover out of it.
Exactly what they're wanting. If you're the Raiders right now, 10-9, early, still midway through the first quarter, I think you're wanting to slow this thing down. You don't want to let Memphis get off to the races. And
Memphis, they'll bring that press off and on every now and then when they see that it suits their advantage, and that time they do earn the turnover. 3-pointer on the way from Guess. It hits the front of the rim and bounces in. Elijah Guess gets on the board for the Eagles.
Again, room and rhythm 3-pointer though. No contest. Memphis is patient, moving the ball around the perimeter. You give a good ball player a room and rhythm 3. That's not a recipe for success.
And that ball bounced off of Brooks, and it's Spangenberg the other way, and he's going to be fouled, going to the line shooting 2. I believe the refs were having a conversation about the amount of team fouls. That is the 2nd team foul on the Raiders. Spangenberg good on the first. Hervey checks back in. We talked about before the game the Raiders being a good outside shooting team, and they certainly can, as Baker knocked down that step back 3-pointer. But in the scorebook, MHEA's got shooters of their own. They've got 3 triples so far. Nettlingham, he can knock it down. Just misses that one.
Big possession here. You're the Raiders, you need to stop. You don't want to let this thing open up early.
And there's back Memphis, another rhythm 3 from Memphis. I think Houston Raiders are going to have to leave this zone. Memphis has had 4 uncontested 3-pointers, and now we're up 18-9. You're going to have to look at manning up on this team. You're just going to get shot out of this thing.
And the problem with that is you're in almost a pick your poison kind of situation, because sometimes I believe MHEA is even stronger against the man.
And maybe, I just think they've gotten a rhythm now off of these 3-pointers. You got to show them something different.
Hervey for 3. Short, rebound May. Finds Baker. Can he get another one? No, just rims in and out.
It's good possession for them, though. They got the look they wanted. A lot of guys got involved. You can live with that.
So now, as we mentioned, Houston Raiders have gone man. So let's see kind of what Memphis comes back with.
Dawkins no good. Offensive rebound Thomas trying to create space. Good defense from Baker. And that was last touched by MHEA. It's almost like they were listening to you on the broadcast, Thomas. I think the coach has an earpiece over there. What is Thomas saying I need to do right now?
Well, look, I mean, that one's not that difficult. They're just bury threes on the wing. You're going to have to match up. And I don't know if Memphis always shoots this well, but early on they're feeling confident. And so that adjustment was needed. So let's see if they can man up. Now the problem is, are they going to be able to rebound out of this man?
Oh, he had Cole open there on the offside block.
Hervey steps into a three but can't connect.
So look, Houston Raiders have had 3 good looks from 3 good shooters. One of those goes down, or even 2 of those go down. This we're right back in it. So I think if the Raiders just sit tight, play their game, they're okay. They're not panic point. Just play their game.
Well, and there's an old saying within boxing that if you take a swing at the champ, you better not miss.
Yeah.
So you're only going to have so many opportunities against a team like MHEA, especially if they have an opportunity to build their confidence with these 3-pointers, which will then open up that inside game.
Yes.
Checking in for the Raiders is Gabe Wright.
Raiders kind of going small. They got Cole in the middle and then 4 guards around. It can be real crucial. Can they cover the glass on the second chance?
And Dawkins connects on his first field goal. He's got 4 points. And it's a 20-9 lead for MHEA. They've opened a double-digit lead here in the first quarter. May, baseline jumper, good-looking shot from Jacob May.
Jacob May said, look, Memphis, their defensive rotations are strong. Like if you're Houston, you're gonna have to move them on the perimeter a little bit. Like even that shot, it was a step back jump shot, difficult shot, but you're not gonna live on that all game long. So they're gonna have to get a little bit more ball more on the perimeter to get some open that up a little bit.
Meanwhile, the turnaround jumper from Guess no good. Raiders have the ball. We'll see if they hold for the final shot. They can get it down to about 7 or 6 heading into the next period. They're gonna feel pretty good about themselves.
I'm predicting a step back jump shot.
Wrights has got to shoot it. He didn't know how much time was left, and that's going to do it for our first period of play, as after 8, MHEA 20, Houston Raiders 11. Second quarter action and more coming up after this. We are back at Drury at the O'Reilly Family Center. In the first quarter of play, MHEA opened up a 9-point advantage. Baker is going to start with a 3 and another one, as that's the second triple for Cole Baker.
Cole Baker's looking very confident behind the 3-point line. I believe he's 2 for 3 now, and could have been 3 for 3.
In the middle, Stewart.
So now Houston's back in that 2-3 zone. They're looking a little more active now. You watch how they're recovering on these shooters now.
On the drive, Harris puts it up and in.
Nice drive and baseline finish.
So that most crucial position, you're attacking that 2-3, is who is that guy in the high post? You got a guy that can play make for himself and others. You can really dice them up. So it'll be interesting to see. They've got number 2 in there, Cormar Stewart, kind of a passing big. Interesting to see, kind of watch him, gets it there. Okay, looks for himself there. It'll retain Memphis ball.
They're going to call that foul on Baker on the rebound. Very quick shot from Stewart.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure if he was passing it.
I thought so too. Kind of had the ball up high and, well, had the look, I guess.
That's Shoemaker that checks in for the Eagles.
So the Eagles have already gone pretty deep on that bench. I think we're about 9 or 10 on this roster right now.
And that time, Jacob May read that inbounds pass that the Eagles love to run to try to get Thomas a corner three. Baker in the corner again, but not before he stepped on the sideline. Semeng checks in for the Raiders. And you almost wonder right now if both Dawkins and Thomas are on the bench for MHEA. I wonder if it's not a bad time to maybe try to get some inside looks for the Raiders.
Yeah, take advantage of this. They're kind of going small on this. I bet you got Cole Baker sitting as well, so you could try to give Luke Semeng a touch inside.
Thomas up top for three. Yes, can't give him that kind of space.
And again, this 2-3 zone right now is catering to rhythm three-pointers. And so if you're going to play it, man, you got to rotate out.
And if you've got a shooter like Caleb Thomas, that combination of those two words, rhythm and shooter, you couldn't find a better description.
You can get a better one than that.
But you look up, you know, it feels like the game's still 11-point game. Like it's still very within reach. So it's not like it feels like Memphis has got momentum. But if a couple shots here and there, and Houston's back in this thing.
And that time the Raiders throw it right back to the Eagles. Harris unable to finish.
Slow it down, get the set they want.
That's right. This is a huge possession. So now momentum, this is the time you can kind of shift momentum back in your direction. Almost a turnover.
That time no good from Whedon. And now Caleb Thomas surveying the defense. Back to a man.
So the one thing, Memphis plays very, very composed. They look for their shots. They're patient with it. And you don't see a whole lot of forced shots out of this ball club.
We're going to have a foul. I believe they're going to call that on Jacob May. They do. That's his first. And we're going to have a timeout on the floor from MHEA. 25-14 with 4:46 to go in the second. And we are back out of the timeout. The starters are back in for the Eagles, and that ball thrown up into the sky, and Dawkins was unable to jam that home, but that's going to be a foul on the rebound. I believe they called that on Zay Harris, just his first. But you're going to see that play run for Dawkins. He can sky way up high, and they'll run that backdoor alley-oop. Three-pointer from Semeng, no good.
Really a good offensive possession for Houston there. Move the ball on the perimeter. That's a good shot. I'll take that shot. I think that's a rhythm three-pointer. That would have been a big, momentum shifter.
Thomas, high post, out to Harris for three, and it's good. That is the 6th three-pointer for the Eagles here in the first half, and they've now doubled up the Raiders 28-14.
And that's from three different players too. So it's not just Caleb Thomas.
Nettlingham, he was big for them in that play-in game yesterday. Hits his first triple.
What a shot when you need one. Good gracious, they were starting to blow this thing open. Gives them a little bit of life here midway through the second quarter. So now it looks like Houston has gone to maybe a 3-2 zone. They're rotating out much higher now than they were for obvious, three-point reasons what's going on here. But what they're giving up is on the offensive glass like you're seeing there.
That time Andrew Thomas came on the weak side, and again, that's the issue you run into.
It's kind of like what you said, Paul. It's you pick your poison, right? You can open this thing up, go man to man. You expose yourself on the offensive glass, or stay in the zone and then risk the rhythm threes.
And you got those big men from MHEA. Both of them were all-region type players, so it's going to be tough no matter how you slice it up. And John Hervey is fouled on the drive.
Very nice attack.
He is deceptively quick. He had a lot of first steps and stutter steps in the game yesterday, and he didn't have much in the first half, but in the second half he finished with 10 points to lead the Raiders. First free throw is good.
So Jacob May checks back in, subbing out Leon Brooks. I was watching Jacob shooting warm-ups. Man, he's got a really nice touch and can shoot from deep. So if this Raiders team can hang in there, stay close, they've got some tools here. They just giving up 30 points so far through, early part of the second quarter. Want to see them shore up defensively a little bit for them to have a fighting chance in this game.
They've had some games this year as well where they had pretty major comebacks, so it's not out of the question for them to be able to do so. But then again, it's much easier said than done when you're playing a team like MHEA.
Sure.
Spangenberg, baseline runner, no.
Big tip. See if they get some transition opportunities.
And other way is Bubba Whedon. That shot is denied by Guess.
Yeah, denied was a gentle way to say that, Paul. That shot was erased.
Excellent fake. Look at that.
And Whedon gets the N1.
Right back at him, though. Love it.
I think Whedon heard you and was like, erase this, right? I'm going to jab you left, cross right, and get an and one. Have back at it. I did not expect that. That was a quick move.
Great finish.
Well, we talked about it. Hanging around. Back to an 8-point lead.
So now you look up, it's like, okay, Houston, it feels like you might be down more than this, but you're in this game. You're down 8 points, almost at halftime. So you close this down to maybe 6 before the end of this game.
Paul, were you able to catch either of these teams in their earlier games this week?
I was. I did see Houston Raiders play in their pool. They went 1-1, and MHEA went 2-0 in their pool. I also saw both of them at the Big South, so they both go to the Dallas Regional.
And was that that final of the Big South Regional, did MHEA run away with it, or was it a close game? No,
MHEA ended up running away with the Big South. They had a couple of games that were relatively close. Caleb Thomas puts in another 3. They had a couple of games that were kind of close, but in the last 2, the Final Four and the final, they ended up running away from both those Dallas teams. They played Dash in the semifinal and HSAA in the final, and they ended up both being about 15, 20-point contests.
Okay.
So, look, I've seen Caleb Thomas play 3 halves of basketball, and I think he's like 13 of 14 from three-pointers in the game I've seen him play. So if you keep this up, I think just let the kid shoot. Tough finish.
Oh, man.
Showing the athleticism there.
What is that for him? He's got,
I believe that's 16 on the night, and I think he's only missed 1 shot. So, man, what a game he's putting on right now. Pushing transition, defending. He's controlled the tempo. He's putting on a clinic right now.
Hervey, baseline jumper, good.
Tough shot.
Good D, good offense. He rejected the screen, went up, pulled up for the J, with a hand in his face, knocked it down.
And Hervey now has 8 to lead the Raiders.
So is Memphis going to hold? They got 40 seconds for the last shot. Looks like they're going to try to hold for the last shot. Not a bad strategy. If you have the ball handlers to do it. We talked on an earlier broadcast. A lot of times we've seen a high school game that you get the impression that you're up, whatever, 10, 15 points is aired out, but so often it's in a turnover. So it's one of those things that's kind of a careful decision to make. If you have ball handlers, it's fine to do it, but often you lose rhythm by doing so. But it looks like Memphis is content to wait for last shot, and there we go. We've talked about this. It's not as easy as it looks.
Just a basic miscommunication there. Number 3, Hudson thought Caleb was going one way, didn't work out, and instead of last shot,
Good look from Jacob May.
Had a deep look, didn't fall.
And that's going to do it for our first half of play in this boys 18 and under. 8A gold ball. MHEA leads 35-24. Second half action and more coming up after this. We are back on the campus of Drury University here in Springfield, Missouri. Second half action underway. The Eagles took an 11-point lead into the half. They start with the ball. Their fans across the way, I'm sure you can see it on the broadcast, they have their dress-up days. Today, I'm guessing, was blackout. Thomas, another three, in and out. Rebound to Hervey.
Look, what you see on that shot, I don't know if it's going to be quick to catch it, but there's no drop or hitch in his shot at all. He caught the ball at shot pocket, shoulder height, went straight into a shot. So he had a guy closing out. That's kind of one thing that coaches look at the next level is like, okay, is the release quick? And he goes right in that shot pocket and release and bucket. I mean, he's having himself a game.
Yeah, he's got 19, and I'm not sure what the scouting report says, but I certainly wouldn't be leaving him open ever.
If that scouting report says he's a non-shooter, I want to talk to the person that made the scouting report.
Yeah, you got to think that Houston maybe consider a box and one or something at this point if they don't want to leave the zone for rotation and rebounding purposes. But you're gonna have to get a body on him. He's got 19 points early in the third quarter.
And that's going to be a traveling violation on Nettlingham. He caught the ball and then looked like he maybe reset after that.
Pretty critical moment here for Houston. A lot of coaches will teach this is in some ways the most important section of a game. You're looking at the first 4 minutes of the second half. If you're going to climb back, it's got to start now.
Good look inside for Thomas. He corrals the pass, and he's going to be fouled by Baker.
We used to do a stat at Liberty, Paul. They would call it trifectas, 3 stops in a row, and you get these little bonus incentives. But if you got a trifecta in that sweet spot, that first 4 minutes of the second half, it counted as 2. So
oh, wow.
If you're playing these little internal games as we were, trifectas at this point of the game, extra critical.
And that was before NIL money was a thing, so I can't imagine it was a financial reward.
We're not
going to talk about that, Paul. Okay?
The unspoken
We're just going to
side.
leave that alone. But thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, no, you guys missed the window. You know?
I know, man. We're not salty about it at all.
Although, to be fair, nothing against Liberty. I don't know, are you getting Chick-fil-A money? Or
yeah, I don't think they're getting the same as some of these guys are making probably more than they'd make overseas, staying at, if they're at Carolina, Duke, really powerhouse school. They're probably making more there than they'd make over in Europe.
And even on the women's side, we saw someone like Caitlin Clark. There's been discussions about her staying another year at Iowa instead of going to the WNBA.
Oh, I'm sure she's
because of that
more.
NIL.
Sure.
Good pass up ahead from Jacob May.
If you're a brand, who wouldn't want to associate themselves with her?
Right.
Oh my
and that
God.
shot is denied by Dawkins. But it ends up being a good pass out to Hervey. He's now in double figures with 11.
Look, at time, it's 2 possessions back. Caleb Thomas pushed that ball in transition, got an early look. I would love to see him and Memphis do more of that in transition. I think they have the pieces to run. Like I'm looking at Dawkins running the post and the Thomas brothers. Like they could run and gun, and I think it'd be a really nice offense. Well, I know they have a great half-court offense too.
Thomas, another 3, no good that time. It goes over the backboard, but
oh, he does miss.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He caught it in rhythm and even had a good look at it, but
okay.
But it's a testament to him that we're surprised when he misses.
All right, so we got the diamond and 1 here.
Great break. Look at that pass. I love that.
Float game. It's a little strong by Jacob May, but not a bad look either.
Eagles quickly come back the other way.
I mean, right now for the Raiders, you've got 4 legitimate shooting threats. And I'm not sure if Luke Semang is a shooter or not, but if they could get stops here on this end, I think on the offensive end it'll work out for them. But they've got to find a way to slow this Memphis team down.
That basket was the first for Cam Mathis. Jacob May has it poked out and loses the handle. And he's going to go back to the Eagles. 4 minutes and 39 seconds still to play. And Spangenberg again, a miscommunication with Thomas. A couple of times now the Eagles have thought Thomas was going to keep cutting, or at least moving closer to the action.
You can never simplify basketball down to a sentence. But one thing, my dad used to work with us often on, Paul, you may remember this from playing under his coaching as well, but on offense, you're looking to create space. Defense is looking to take space. And so watching this Memphis team, they're controlling that down here on this end. They're eating the space, and the Raiders are having a hard time creating space. You know, creating space can be done with a really explosive playmaker, a guy that can, you know, change directions laterally or, you know, east-west or north-south, but also through team offense, dribble, drive, and kick. Not seeing a ton of that for the Raiders right now as man, trying to create space either for yourself or for your teammate.
And so what ends up happening with that is you end up getting stuck with you're as good as your best player's best move, and it's kind of one-on-one. And that ends up happening. So team spacing starts making the game easier for everybody. As they start learning where you're strong, where you're weak, you can kind of play off each other. And I think as Houston, they've had some possession in transition where they've done that quite well. But in the half-court offense, we're not seeing it, hopefully, as like what I'd like to see. But, you know, again, they're still in this game. We're halfway through the third quarter.
That hurts.
That's the third triple from Guess.
I was really impressed with him last year. Watch the ball pressure he puts on people. And it's, man, nice to see him getting going on the offensive side as well.
Now there is a rhythm shot.
That's third. That's the third right there for Cole Baker.
And Cole Baker's put himself together a nice game. He's got height, nice release. Man, he's got a bright future.
Nice fake from Andrew Thomas, no good. Offensive rebound, Dawkins, no good. Another offensive rebound, Thomas, and one.
That's tough. Two big guys going at the glass. They gave 2 extra possessions there, and now you're punished with an and one.
That foul was on Baker, his third. Thomas connects on the and one.
So Houston Raiders need a good shot this possession. You're down 15.
Was a good look from May, but couldn't connect. Now Caleb Thomas setting up the offense.
Big to big ball screen at the elbow.
And that's going to lead to a Harris drive, but he's bumped as well. Foul is on Carter Nettlingham.
All right, took the hard hit to the head, didn't bother him. Knocks the first one down.
Kind of interesting, MHEA doesn't have any rebounders. A couple of years ago, we saw that pretty much every team adopted that philosophy. But on this possession, I guess they decided they'd rather set up on defense than have to run down the court again.
Yeah, personally, I hate that philosophy. That was an offensive rebound I could have got if I had a broke free throw shooter. But I'm not a coach.
So the Raiders are now playing with both big men on the floor, Semang and Baker. In the corner, out to Baker for three.
See, that's a fantastic possession for Houston Raiders. You got a dribble drive, 2 passes for an open look. Cole Baker can hit that shot. We've already seen it. That's a good offensive possession.
Raiders have been doing a good job of hanging around, but towards the end of this quarter, they've got to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. You don't want it to be a 20-point game as Dawkins throws down the alley-oop from Thomas. They get at least 1 or 2 of those a game, and it certainly gets that Memphis crowd going.
And we've had some pretty impressive showing from fan support in the previous game. You had both teams' fans, drum lines going back at it. But I think Memphis definitely in numbers-wise, this whole section over here, I got a couple hundred fans in attendance.
And if that foul is on Baker, that's big. Oh, nope. I guess they gave it on number 1, Nettlingham. Would have been the 4th on Baker.
Man, you can kind of feel the wind coming out of the sails a little bit here, Paul. I'm hoping the Raiders got another push in them, because it's, man, clock is not your friend right now, and you're at the line down 18, or they're at the line down 18.
Well, and it kind of reminds you of what we were talking about earlier about the amount of games the Raiders had to play. Granted, it's one more extra,
sure,
but you already have a team that goes 6-7 deep, and then you've got an extra game on top of that. They played 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday. Now you got to come back on Wednesday, play that 5th game.
Right.
And not only that, but you're matching up against the number 1 seed. So
sure,
it's a lot to ask. And, like you said, it could be a situation of just a little bit too much tired legs. You get farther into the week, and the energy and the strength and speed that MHEA comes with, it's hard to match up even at your best.
Sure.
So then you get that 5th game aspect, and it just makes it that much more difficult.
I was talking with their coach before the game, and he was laughing. He's like, "Jess, I'm tired, and I'm just sitting here talking." He's like, "I didn't go to bed last night till 2 a.m." He's like, "My adrenaline was so pumped up." They had a close win last night, and he's like, "Here we are, geared up to play." Everybody, Memphis got a target on their back. Everybody is amped for this game.
And give them credit. From what I understand, this is a first-year program, right?
Second year, yeah.
Second-year program,
yep.
So they're coming out competing on the biggest stage and really doing quite well. I mean, I'm impressed with the way they're playing. They can clearly hit shots, and they're competing hard. They're it's obvious they're an underdog in this game. I think everybody knew that, but they're hanging around. And if you get a couple shots to fall, can you turn this thing? Get back, fight back in this thing.
Thomas misses the first, and just like you mentioned, Thomas, they've not shown that invulnerability that maybe you would have expected in previous years. They've had some close games in both their pool play and in their Sweet 16 game yesterday. Again, playing well today, but certainly not invincible. Nettlingham, tough shot. Wow.
And they've hit a couple of those hard contested one-dribble mid-range jump shots. You don't – oh.
And that's going to be a charge the other way. So in the final minute of the third quarter, maybe they can build a little momentum heading into the 4th.
That's one of the first shots I've seen Memphis. I don't want to say necessarily a force, but that's one of the first shots out of their offense that I've seen them push. They're very, very disciplined.
Jacob May works his way to the inside, takes it up, and he's going to be fouled.
You see how Jacob May beat his first defender, and that's what a lot of guys, I think, particularly in high school, don't understand. They automatically race to the rim. What he did really well there was he saw the shot blocker, and he went right to his body as opposed to racing to the rim. So a lot of guys don't control their speed. They beat their guy and then just race to the rim. Well, the strongest, fastest guy is going to win that battle. In that case, a shot blocker. Here, he went and found the defender's body, ate the space, then went for the finish and picked up a foul. So really a nice play there.
Second free throw, no good. And they're going to say it's going to stay with the Raiders. The ref on the near side saw that it was last touched by Houston.
Some confusion here with Memphis on what set they're in. Caleb's got it up top. Let's see how this thing, I got a seal inside. Oh, costly turnover there. And really didn't need that one. Could have held that out for a little while.
A rare disjointed play from the Eagles. We'll see how the Raiders respond in the final seconds. Nettlingham, a deep three, no good.
I kind of thought that thing was going to go in. That's the way he's been hitting shots today.
And that's how we're going to end the third quarter. MHEA 50, Houston Raiders 35, final 8 minutes after this break.
He's
15-point lead for the Eagles to determine the 8A gold ball champion. That ball was read and intercepted by Thomas, and he uses the body against Brooks. He's going to go to the line shooting 2.
That was a great read by Andrew. He saw that play developing. There's a lot of false action up there early, and he just timed the passing lane well.
And if you're Houston right now, you cannot afford those type of errors. Like, you are at crunch time at this moment, and each possession is critical.
And Coach Baker's going to take a timeout. I'm sure he's going to be talking about that execution. And wanted to ask you guys, again, y'all have played a lot of basketball at all different levels. When you're in a situation like this, again, not quite insurmountable, you're in that 15-point range. It's kind of could break either way, right? You get a couple of buckets, you're back in it. They get a couple of buckets, now you're out of it. So what do you think Coach Baker's telling his guys at this junction of the game?
I would hope it's possession at a time, right? And so you got to stop. Jesse mentioned that trifecta. You got to start with stops. Nothing happens if you can't stop. And so you got to start with stops and then good shots.
And the clock is not your friend at this point, so stops got to feed to fast break opportunities. But there's no 15-point shot. So,
well, and then half-court offense is kind of like, it's not, I won't say it's irrelevant, but for you to come back 16 in 7 minutes, it's basically got to be stops and the quick shots. Like, you don't want to force shots, but you don't have the luxury of working your offense like that. You're going to have to get out in transition.
Yeah, you're going to have to take the first best shot.
Yes.
It may not be the ultimate best shot, but like you said, you don't have time to have 30-second, 1-minute possessions where you're not getting the shot up.
Andrew Thomas put together a nice game for himself on the offensive boards, hitting free throws, stealing transition. He's been a pretty heavy factor, although quiet. It's been, big factor here.
And that's a great shot from Nettleham. That's kind of what we were just talking about. They took about 10 seconds off the clock and hit a big 3.
Now the one challenge, if you're the Raiders, the Memphis team's got a lot of ball handlers. So if you're down late, they're going to be a hard team when they try to air this thing out, because they've 3-4 guys can put this thing on the floor. So you don't want to be down 10, 12 points with 2 minutes to go.
In college, they do media timeouts every 4 minutes, and when we were down, the coach would try to cut. When we were down, at 15 points, we'd try to cut 4 points per media. It was kind of always a goal that we had. It'd be a point a minute. Can we cut it down from an 8-point deficit to a 4-point deficit and 4 points to get the game tied up and then take a lead heading into that, that third or fourth media in the second half. So kind of use increments of time.
Nice move.
That's a big time look.
Nettleham has knocked down a couple here in the fourth.
That's what we're saying, Paul. They've had stops and now 2 shots. So they're now they're feeling some life. They're down 11. Feeling pretty good at this point.
Big time take by Andrew Thomas. And Coach Williams is going to, Coach Baker's going to take a timeout.
That's tough though, man. Those brothers have been playing together in the backyard since, probably last 15 years, right?
And you guys would know something about that.
But yeah, that was just a non-verbal, eye contact. He cuts back door, brother dimes him up, and you're not scouting that. That's just brothers playing well together.
Yeah, and I can't imagine it's hard to underrate that kind of connection.
Sure.
Right? You talk about team chemistry. Well, you can't have more team chemistry than that.
Right.
You're playing, like you said, at your house every day, at the park, at the YMCA. You've been on the same teams probably since you're 10 and under. Mm-hmm. And again, some of those intangibles are just built in because of that family bond.
Right.
And again, you love to see that across the way. The Eagles faithful is still fired up for their team, even though they have a 13-point lead here in the fourth. They never quit. They never stop. They show up big at every MHEA game, and their presence is always felt.
Again, I don't have a great connection with this program because I haven't been around the homeschool circuit in recent years up until last year. But my guess from outward appearance, it's a very healthy program. You're seeing a winning culture, and then you're seeing down level families, little ones, grandmas, grandpas, uncles, aunts out supporting. My guess is they've got a lot of strength coming down the line as well. Got younger kids watching the older brothers and varsity team doing their thing.
And you're right. I mean, they are known for winning at every level on the boys' side, and it seems like they almost have like a pipeline of players just coming up. And I was on their call earlier today. Their 16U won the gold ball. They're heading to the National Final Four. Their 14U lost, but again, they're in those gold ball games at almost every level. And last year, their 12U won the Undisputed National Championship. I mean, they're just a machine.
It's a weird concept, Paul. You see in Scripture, it's so clear. Pride goes before the fall. God hates pride and will not bless it. But in athletics, you see there is a confidence that is hard to match. And I believe confidence is built from hard work. And if you have a culture of hard work and a culture where you're pursuing excellence, man, confidence is the natural byproduct of that. And that confidence aids in a winning culture. It's like winning breeds winning. Now you get to one point, you start getting cocky, well then you're going to get leveled. That's 100% clear. But man, if you can remain humble and pursue excellence, it's a pretty scary recipe.
That three-pointer is good from Bubba Whedon.
Man, Bubba's
had a couple big-time plays. I remember the first half, that jab cross, and then you just the kind of a pin-down screen into a three-pointer. Nice play.
Spangenberg's going to be blocked by May. And Jesse, to follow up on your point that you were making, one thing you'll notice too about a lot of the MHEA players is it's a very quiet confidence. They're not flashy, they're not showy. They just put in the work, and they have proven why they are the three-time undefeated champions, looking for a fourth this year.
Right, you see that. You can see the confidence of their team kind of stepping in. Man, hey, you expect to win. But that doesn't come just out of nowhere.
So Jacob May unable to connect. Nettleingham nearly tipped it in as well. That would have been a big basket.
Put that in single digit. So they would have liked to have that one back. But you got to move on. There's 5 minutes. There's still a lot of time. And they've called back in.
Great defense by Cole Baker there. It was a 2-on-1. He kind of stunted at the offensive player, created a kind of difficult floater, and then comes up with a defensive rebound. They're hanging in. Oh.
Good find to Baker. Wide open three.
That's a good shot. Cole Baker we've seen it. He's buried 3 of them tonight.
Last couple times down, Raiders have got shots that they wanted, and with them not falling, it's just kind of the story of the game. Inside to Thomas.
Tough bucket. You can't get a player with his skill set, man. You can let him get buried deep. There's not much you can do about that. You got to do your work, fight for your feet early, because he's going to capitalize on that 8 times out of 10.
And that time it was Hervey who hit the sideline, and now Dawkins and Thomas check back in. And that's the scary part about Memphis, right? That entire time, the last few minutes, your top players are on the bench, or whoever you consider the top players, they can just keep subbing them in and out. That depth is just something that a lot of teams are going to struggle with, and it's going to be something that's going to play them well as they continue their journey this week. I want to remind you that coming up next, we're going to continue the action on the boys' side. The Springfield Rush hometown crew is going to be playing against the LKY Saints, first-year program out of Kentucky. So 2 names that you typically wouldn't hear at the gold ball level. The boys 18 is coming up next. Then later this evening, program that you guys know well, San Antonio Patriots are going to be playing against the Northside Lions out of Indianapolis. And then the nightcap is Tennessee Heat versus the Dash Spartans out of Dallas, Texas.
A lot of good games. Paul, what would you say? You've been around homeschool basketball quite a while. What would you say, what is the future? If you were to forecast out 5 years, 10 years, homeschool basketball, what would be the North Star for these programs kind of as they're pouring in, developing kids down the line?
You know what's interesting about that? I've had conversations with Rob Platt, the tournament director, and across the country, there has been a trend of a boom within homeschooling. just around the country, nothing political about it. There's just been a lot of homeschool growth. As a matter of fact, in Texas alone, homeschooling grew by 40% last year.
Wow.
And so you look at opportunities for homeschoolers around the country, and that's exactly what this tournament is you're providing opportunities for young men and young women, as Dawkins puts that in, to come and experience something that is excellence at the highest level, right? So, you play at your district, you play at your region, and some teams, because it's what works best for their program, their regional tournament is like their nationals. That's the last tournament we're going to go to. And there's various reasons for that. Some of it, can be financial based, or it can be, do we have enough players? Do we have, the means to actually make it to Springfield? And got a foul right in front of us as May is going to be bumped by Caleb Thomas. But the reason I say that is because you look at the opportunity for this tournament to keep growing, right? Some people look at it and you're like, man, we had 500 plus teams here this year, and it's a big deal. But I would not be surprised in the least if the tournament still has a lot more room to grow.
Wow.
Opportunities for programs coming from other areas, right? Primary positioning for nationals is teams in kind of that southern United States, Midwest. But I know Rob's been doing a good job trying to put some stuff out east. There's a East Regional that's going to be starting next year in South Carolina, and there's some teams coming from California and Arizona to this tournament. But it wouldn't surprise me in the least if around the country there's more opportunities. Great job by Nettlingham for programs to recognize that this is a big deal and it's a really excellently run thing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the mic, but I really do think this is a really cool opportunity for a lot of homeschool kids.
Well, man, you share that. Here I am. We drove 12 hours. We're at Deer Creek Camp in Medina, Texas, and have the opportunity to come be a part of this. And not only do I come, but my wife and our 5 young children come. The reason, one, I like being with my family, love my wife, love my kids, but Thomas's kids are playing in the Team USA, and I had my 6-year-old, my 5-year-old there watching it.
Give us a shout out. We're 3-0, but not that y'all.
Is that due to the coaching?
I mean, I'm not going to say that, but okay, we're winning. Okay.
No, but like the culture here, it's like a magnetic culture. You see it, you want to be a part of it, you want to watch it. Same reason we got a couple hundred MHEA fans here. It's like there's something special that's going on here, and it's fun to be a part of.
I think people are drawn to excellence, and you look at, I don't want people to feel like this is an MHEA broadcast, because it's not. The Raiders competed well. They competed hard. I think Dawkins might have taken a little bit of exception to that particular call or that particular foul.
He definitely took exception.
He's a little salty on that.
But what I was trying to say is you look at across the way from us, right, and you've got 2 full stands of MHEA families and supporters. And nostalgically, it reminds me a lot of those peak HCYA days. Oh, wow. Man. I think that was a little statement take from Dawkins.
Yeah, he was, if Cole wouldn't have met him there, that ball was going down. he had an edge on that drive. Man.
But to finish that thought, it reminds you of that excellence that people love to be a part of, they love to see. You get to a point where you guys were, where eventually people want to see you fall because you've done it so many times in a row. And MHEA is kind of getting to that point, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of teams, again, they're a great program, great organization, but at some point, you're looking for that downfall. And it's not happening right now, but like you said, there's a lot of people that are being drawn.
But, Paul, I think it helps to have a team that people are gunning for because it raises everyone else's level. You were mentioning to me off mic earlier that the parity's better this year. The games are closer. Well, why is that happening? Well, there's a target. And right now, Memphis is the target. But it's something that people are shooting for, so it kind of gives you like a goal. Like, hey, I bet if you ask 7 of these teams, who are we trying to beat? You know what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you this team. We're trying to beat these guys. And so they're watching them, they're looking at them, and so, eventually someone's going to beat them.
And you'd hope the kids that are back home this April, May, June, that, man, as they're working their ball handling, they're working their triple threat, they're trying to get better, they're simulating this game situation. Man, remember when we were right there. We were down, 14 points in the 4th quarter, and, man, I have that back. Have that step back opportunity. Have that high ball screen. Like, as an athlete and as a competitor, you put yourself in these situations so that you can knock off that top guy, that top team.
We were talking on this earlier, like sometimes we get players and coaches, like, how do we get to the next level? And I think particularly for homeschool athletes, there can be a timidity
Yep.
With playing the same, you come to nationals, similar teams. And so, like, when you come into the short answer is you need to play both individually and collectively better competition. You have to play, like, if you're the Houston Raiders, I know Houston's market. There's no shortage of great teams in Houston. Start playing, scheduling those teams where you get slapped around, where you get beat. So by the time you get here, you've already taken your licks. And so these teams, it's kind of like when you play a team like Memphis. Well, you've already played 10 teams like Memphis. And as an individual player, the guy who wants to play college ball, well, don't stop by being the best player in your program or on your team, but go play an open gym, go find pickup, go to the local community college or university, say, hey, coach, when are your guys playing pickup? Can I run with them? Or if you're a junior high player, go to the high school coach, be like, coach, can I scrimmage with your varsity and sit me out when you need? But you have to find the next level of player that you're chasing. Just like these teams are chasing Memphis now in homeschool, these players on Memphis need to be looking, those who want to play, who around me is better than me and how can I get in the gym with that player, because they're going to harden my team and my game to the next level. And I think that's really, really missed. People want to come in with a 19-2 record. Great. Who'd you play?
Right.
This isn't the NBA. This isn't Division I. It's not a level. So like, you got to go scale up to find those teams because they're not going to come seek you as a homeschool team.
And I was talking to Jesse about this as well. I think the advent of the ability to watch film has really upped the game for a lot of programs, right? And back when we were playing, there was no live stream, there's no broadcast. There wasn't even Baller TV, which is going to all the regionals. So I had a chance to talk to Andrew Thomas from MHEA at the regional, and I was asking him, where are you guys at when it comes to preparing for nationals? And he said, man, there's teams from other regions. We've already seen 3 of their games. Like, they're breaking down film from regions that isn't even their own because they don't want to be surprised by anybody from any of the regions. For example, there was a team that is out of Virginia that won the Midwest Regional on a buzzer beater. They've already scouted them. They've already seen them. And, you put in that level of dedication, that level of preparation. And I think a lot of these teams, when you're looking to get to this level, you got to put in the work.
Oh, sure. And you share stories like that, it's not a surprise that, they've had the history that they have had, right? The preparation breeds the success.
So we're under a minute to play.
And look,
19-point lead for the Eagles.
We talked on MHE a lot. Clearly, kind of a dynasty at this point in homeschool sports. But credit to the Houston Raiders, second-year program, came in here and played these guys a heck of a game. Hold your heads up. Like, well done, well played. You've got some great players. And it was fun to watch them.
And they'll be back. They'll be back. I think they're only graduating one senior.
There you go.
You got Gabe Wright coming in here, down 19 points with 50 seconds left, and he's taking a charge. That's rare to find.
And hustling back on defense.
Right. Look at him.
Good move from Cormar Stewart. Hervey. Man, good-looking shot from Hervey.
They got some shooters on this team.
He's got 16 in the game for the Raiders.
It's a special group, man. They keep this core nucleus together. I'll be excited to watch them next year.
And that's going to do it. The 8A gold ball is going to go to the Memphis Eagles as they win 70-52 over the Houston Raiders. On behalf of myself, Thomas Sanders, and Jesse Sanders, we want to thank you for joining us on this broadcast. Reminding you that coming up next, we've got a lot more boys action as Springfield Rush take on the LKY Saints. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.